developing a phone addiction. Now, I know by saying that, it just sounds like that's not probably what you were meant to hear, especially reading the title of the video. And I think it's extremely beneficial if you develop a phone addiction. And specifically is being a producer of things and not a consumer of things. Because smartphones are now quite accessible. At least a lot of people now have access to smartphones than they did 10 years ago, than they did 15 years ago, whatever. Which means that it can be very easy to be subjected to an addiction of a phone in terms of consumption. You're consuming things whether you realize it or not. When the moment you wake up to the moment you go back to bed, you're consuming things on your phone, whether it be your laptop, computer, tablet, even media when you're walking outside and you see billboards and you see things here and there. You're consuming things, right? And sometimes you can get lost in the consumption. I certainly do, because I'll be sitting on the tube, scrolling through which song I want to, because I don't have social media, so I don't have necessarily, I'm not scrolling through Instagram. But if I did have social media, and when I did it back a couple of years ago, I was just scrolling through Instagram or scrolling through, I don't know, TikTok or whatever. But now, even I'd catch myself scrolling through Spotify. It's just random. It's not as severe, of course, but I'd try and find the best song, or go through different albums or on repeat playlists that Spotify makes for me or whatever. But the point is, you can be lost in consumption in any sort of media. And I think when you're just purely doing the consumption game, it can be very detrimental in the future, because this happens to me a lot as well, where sometimes an advert might come up and it would really give me the urge to either buy that thing or plant a seed for me to buy that thing in the future, down the line, right? Now, my point is, it's better to actually become a producer of content rather than a consumer, because when you're producing things, you're putting things out there into the world where, okay, well, the light turned off. You're putting things out there in the world where people can see, and your communities can be formed, and people then kind of know of your work. There's a really good book called Show Your Work. Highly recommend it. And just documenting things. At the moment I'm just documenting my life. 25 years old, do well in my 9 to 5, and hustle, eventually leave and start my own thing or whatever. But in order for me to do that, I also find it very valuable just documenting and share little bits of my day, what I learn, what my thinking is, even moments like this right now, because then whether you've either come across it before or you're completely new to it, that concept, it's just nice to share and connect and build an audience, because future and down the line, you're building your personal brand. And I think it's very important now. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to put yourself out there, because a lot of people might not want to, but it could be in any form. You can make a blog, you can make Pinterest boards or pictures and whatnot. But the point is, you're not consuming all this media. You're actually starting to produce. You're starting to use your brain a little bit. You're using creativity and making content where you feel like it's quite engaging, whether it to be to yourself or to someone else, and eventually forming a community of like-minded individuals. And it's helpful because then when you have a specific group of people that also resonate with the message you're sending, then in further down the line, you can start to turn it into things. You can monetize it. You can build a brand. You can eventually make money from it, because I don't make a lot of money on YouTube because I'm a small content creator. Each month I get a little bit for me just hitting record on my iPhone. I'm literally a random guy. It's right now it's 10:50 p.m. I've sat my iPhone on my dashboard in the car and I'm filming content, and I'll get paid whether it be a little bit or not. It's just crazy to me, but I'm just sharing my thoughts. I'm not doing it for the money for now. I'm just trying to build my personal brand. You just try and notice, right, when next time you're on the train, or next time you're waiting for, I don't know, the bus, or you're in between lectures in university, or you're on a lunch break, you're just catching yourself scrolling, and over time, if you're just doing the consumption game, you're just consuming things, you might be limiting yourself. Just ask yourself that. You might be limiting yourself. You might have a passion for, I don't know, Lego. You might have a passion for cars or specific contemporary art, right? I'm just naming random things, but there's always a community for that. If you can start to share the way you view things, your perspective on certain subjects, you'll be surprised on what you can create. So develop a phone addiction. And what I mean by that is be addicted to just producing content, because it's only going to benefit you, whether it be the short term or the long term. It's the most ROI rather than consuming, especially with the way social media is going at the moment, but with the way like the digital world is, becoming a producer is definitely something to consider, I'd say. Anyway, that's me for now. I'll see you tomorrow.